Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. I hope everyone is doing okay. Okay. This video is live every day like it's the day after a disaster. So it's like people who are very thrifty every day. You know, nice, neat people are very neat and tidy every day. I keep telling myself that one. Okay, so the day after a disaster could be very different for different kinds of people. Like some people might not even be there the day after a disaster because they might evacuate before it hit. Okay, think about this. Think about spendable income. Okay, if you lose your job, you won't have any. Your spendable income should be 20% of your income. And then some people say save 10% of your income. So that would be 30% of your income. And the only people who can really save 30% of their income, and then some people pay tithing, are wealthy people. Think about shelter. So hopefully if you have shelter, if you lose your job or some disaster strikes, that would be awesome. Okay, so we're thinking about shelter, food. That's why we stockpile pets. We saw some disasters. It was during a hurricane, I think it was in Florida. So I have a bowl. So the ladies would not leave their pets. They didn't drive and they wouldn't leave their pets. So this is some black-eyed peas. So, I showed you guys, these are some, what are these things? Smoked turkey tails. But what is in here is a wing. I know what a turkey tail looks like. My grandfather used to eat them. So I have some black-eyed peas. So if we have food storage, hopefully, and we have a camp stove, hopefully we can make a pot of beans. So this is black-eyed peas. I want to mention something. Okay, when you are going to make some beans, wash them really good. Go through, check for rocks, and wash them really good because these beans look really clean, but they weren't. I had to wash them several times before they ran clear. Okay, so then I put this is a turkey wing. Let me show you. See this? This is a turkey wing, I think. I guess it could be a tail, but I cooked it until it was tender, and then I had sausages in the door of my freezer for a long time, and I thought, I am just going to throw them into my black-eyed peas. So I cover my black-eyed peas. I brought them to a boil with the turkey tail, and then, I mean like a strong boil, and then I turned the heat off. This is a speed method. So all that was in it was 1 cup of black-eyed peas that I washed really good. I covered it with a lot of water because it always cooks down, and the turkey tail, and I boiled it to like a roaring boil. I turn it down, and then I let it set for 1 hour so I could do the speed method on the beans. Okay, then I put some dry onion. I didn't have garlic, So I use this Parmesan and garlic. And then I had this coarse salt and black pepper. And then I just cooked them. But what I did is I made cheese, so I had whey. So I just poured all the whey in. I cooked it down, and I kept having to add more liquid because, you know, I was boiling it literally. So I'm not going to be starving. I didn't make so much that I'm going to be totally and completely miserable. Most people would tear the turkey tail. I think it is a tail. Take a look at this, you guys. I don't know how many pounds that was, but I know it's going to make a lot of beans. So you get your beans, you get your water. If all you had was beans and oil and salt and pepper, you could get by on that. And then I'll have a little bowl of beans. So, you know, my son gave me a compliment. He goes, I hate black-eyed peas, but I like yours. And I said, that is because I had ham bouillon cubes, but I can't find those now. So here's a little bowl of beans. I usually eat a small bowl when I do eat them. A small bowl at a time. All right. So now, this preparing for a disaster thing is like the bodybuilders. I saw this one guy and he goes, I get lean and I stay lean because it's easier than trying to get lean all the time. So if like you're always prepared for a disaster, it's easier than trying to get prepared if something should happen. In fact, if something should happen, you're probably not going to be getting and able to get enough food to last you for some time. So think about it that way. All right, now back to the beans. One of my clients was really pretty old, 78, and when Hurricane Katrina hit, she's 78. She drives all the way to, where was that? St. Louis or New Orleans? And she does her FEMA stuff, and one of her jobs was to make big pots of beans. All she put in it was beans, water, oil, and salt and pepper. But because she had made them all of her life, her beans were very delicious. That is the trick. You know, once you learn to make this stuff, it's going to be good. But if it's like your first batch of beans ever, you're going to be miserable for a while. Oh, good. For me, it's a lot better if I have some sausages. These could be hot dogs. These could be any meat. You could just tear up your turkey tail. That was 20 years ago, and she was my customer in the hair salon, and so many things she told me stuck. And so she got home. Her husband was old too. And she says to him, what do you want for dinner? He goes, how about some beans? So, you know, beans or gravy or whatever you have is so much better when you know how to make it. So that's one of them. Beans, olive oil, salt, and pepper. So now, also, you know, working for FEMA, that'll teach you to be prepared. How about working for Red Cross? I know someone, her and her husband, homemade peanut butter, and I bought the veggies in a veggie tray, and I have some tomatoes. I want to save some of these because I'm going to plant them. Something ate my veggies, my tomatoes out there. Okay, so Now, same disaster. The Baptists here in town sent portable showers. So if something happens and our power is knocked off, if you have some kind of portable, I was going to a blank meeting and I saw the portable showers, and they just pulled them back to New Orleans on the back of a truck. So think about that. And then if you remember, Walmart sent water. So we need some kind of food, some kind of way to stay clean, especially to keep your hands clean, and some water. Okay, and then yesterday I made the best thing. I made fry breads. Here is one. So you're always going to have bread. And then I used my fry bread that I had because it made too much, and I made a tasty little blueberry muffin. Okay, Mormons. Back to the Mormons. Okay, the Mormons in my family came from Switzerland to Canada to Missouri. They were driven out of Missouri in 1838. Now they're calling it a war with Mormons versus non-Mormons. Actually, it was more like dairy snatching and land snatching. Now, Joseph Smith was killed in Nauvoo. They were in Nauvoo from 1839 to 1840. Their religion was disagreeable to the non-Mormons. Then they were driven out of Missouri in the dead of winter, and a lot of them walked from Missouri to Utah, and about 10% of the people died. Okay, and the thinking at the time, I think, was the hardier ones will survive and settle the West, and the not so hardy ones won't, and good riddance. Okay, so now in the Mormon, so now what did we learn? Store food. They got hungry on the way. I remember when I was a little kid, they always said the blessing. Dear Heavenly Father, thankful for this food, bless it in the name of Jesus Christ, amen, because they had been hungry, really hungry. So they stockpiled food. Now they have end-time prophecies, the Mormons, that people would run down the streets with wheelbarrows full of gold and no food. So I heard China is selling everything and buying gold. Okay, so after a while, they started to grow food because they were farmers. And if you don't grow food, you're going to starve if something happens. So we want to start growing food. That's the other lesson learned. Stockpile food and grow food. And in time, they got their dairies back, which was not easy. First, they had to get horses to work on the farm, and then they did have some oxen, but a lot of them died. So after that, most of them were pretty much separatists. I'm talking unfriendly. Okay, now, I have told some of you the story about the Mormon girl who went to Mexico with her uncle. A lot of times, one of the uncles would go first. Like in my family, one of the uncles got the whole family across the plains and to Utah, and then got killed himself some said it was a runaway horse, and some said it was killed by a big plow. So I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, the Mormon girl went to Mexico, and there was no food, so her husband ran to America to get work. Now that kind of indicates they were not growing food. So she was down there with her little child, a little daughter, and an old man came up to her and said, "Ma'am, Here's a bag of beans, a bag of rice, and she was told to plant a garden. So from here on out, just start saving your seeds. And so she was, I mean, it was really incredible hardship. So, like what garden? Tomatoes. Now, these cherry tomatoes should be able to be grown year round. Also, radishes are easy to grow. You saw me eat my radish. Onions, with green onions, just put the part with the roots in the ground. Peppers, it could be either hot peppers or green peppers, and squash. So as you see, I have my squash, and they are a lot of food. I have squash, a lot of squash growing in my backyard because I saved the seeds. Okay, now there was a Japanese woman, 100 years old, who told that in Japan, an old man came by and told them to plant soy. They started planting soy. They grew soy for like, it was a long, long time, 80 years. And they supported the family by growing soy. I have one soy plant now. The gophers got them. So if you have soy, you can make soy milk and you can make tofu. From what I've been reading in my vegetarian book, you would dry your soy and then grind it to powder and then cook it into soy milk, and then you'd be able to make tofu. And so you would have some food and you wouldn't starve. Okay, now my friends were Vietnamese, and the mom went to what is this called where the nuns are? Like a church with the nuns. And when they would go, they would bring things like to the nuns. So when she got there, they loved her cooking, and what it was her stir fry. Fry spam cut in little pieces in oil, then move it over to one side and scramble some eggs. Then you have cooked rice, and you add the rice and you stir fry that using your drippings. It could be bacon drippings. And then it was peas and carrots, and you season it with salt, pepper, and sugar. That's going to give you a lot of food. And then soy sauce. Okay, now there's the story about the farmer looking for a ranch hand. My son used to say, "No, Mom, no, Mom. I have heard these stories a million times." Okay, a farmer went to the fair looking for a ranch hand. He saw a man sitting on a fence chewing a straw, and he said, "Are you a ranch hand? Are you looking for a job?" And the ranch hand said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Why should I hire you?" And he said, "Because I can sleep when it rains." So he said, "Oh." So he moved on, but he kept thinking about that, and he goes, "Okay, I keep thinking about what you said. You can sleep when it rains. I'm going to hire you." So they went back to the ranch. My mother's side had ranches, and the ranch hands were like the family. One of them cooked. They had their jobs. It was like a big happy family. They would get paid once a year. They would go to town. They would blow all their money in $20, and then they would come back to the ranch. So anyway, he was a great ranch hand. The farmer was really glad he hired him. So one night the farmer said, "Oh no," he saw looming clouds in the distance. He ran to get the ranch hand, and he said, "Make haste. Secure the animals and livestock and cover the hay." And the ranch hand was sleeping. He rolled over and he said, "I already did." So that's what we're endeavoring to do. We're endeavoring to live already prepared. Okay. No. No, no, no. Make sure, so think about this, make sure you can grow food. Prepare immediately at the first sign of danger. Don't wait until, the smoke inhalation gets you. Don't wait until the traffic makes it impossible to get out of town. Don't wait. One of my husband's friends, we had the big fires, and the sparks were hitting the back of his car as he came down the mountain. That was bad. No, prepare immediately at the first sign of disaster. But we're preparing every day. Every day is preparing. Okay, remember 9/11, they were told to stay at their desks. If you feel any kind of thing, evacuate, like immediately. Don't sit there. They could have gotten out. They had 2-3 minutes. Or think about Florida, where the foundation was actually crumbling and the people stayed inside. They could have gotten out. Or I even say during earthquakes, make haste to the way out. You might have a few seconds. You might be able to get out. Okay, and then think about the tornado. This was recent. They said, no, you can't leave your jobs. You might want to leave your jobs. So what some of them did is they ran to the far end of the structure and they survived. The other ones didn't. So, if it's a dangerous situation, don't listen. That's dangerous. Now, think about the Bible. The Egyptians suffered the judgments, which were plentiful, and a lot of them died. But the Hebrews pretty much were, I'm sure they suffered, but they survived. So this goes to living in the good way. So think about 2020 in Beirut, a Lebanese pastor said he just had this urgency to send everybody home. He said, no, pack up the food and get out. And then there was a terrible explosion and, they were spared. So the people you are around, your good life makes all the difference. Okay, now think about the Adventists in Africa. Okay, the Africans were on a killing rampage of the Adventists. And so they got to the pastor and they said, either tell all the Adventists to go to the church, and so if you don't, we're going to kill your family. So they all went to the church and they all got killed. As to whether the guy's family was killed or not, I'd say they probably were. But when under attack, it really doesn't make any sense for all of you to band together, but that is kind of an instinct. So think about it. If you're in some kind of imminent danger, in this Israel attack, some of them survived just by running as fast as they could and getting away. Okay. So, good people protected. If So in the face of danger, sometimes you might stand up out of the rubble somehow. I always say that. Some of us aren't planning on being raptured. Okay, learn to make food out of your food storage. Now, if you're in some kind of disaster, there's a thing called expedited service for food stamps. Food stamps are $291 a month. So if you're on Social Security on some kind of low fixed income, you should have that. But last month, I went to the food bank 3 weeks in a row, and I still have a lot of food. Now think about, do you have a can opener? Do you have several? Also, I am pretty much ditching glass because it can break and then that can destroy your food. So I'm looking for heavy duty containers like metal cans. And keeping your food off the floor. Now, if something happens, and if you have a little bit of time, remove all of your food out of the freezer and pack it in coolers with dry ice or ice, and then put as much of the food storage in the refrigerator as you possibly can in case, something happens that might keep your food safe. I keep my food under a table, and then, I'm hoping some of it would survive. Now, when something's happening, if you have plywood over your windows and you have, you secure the openings, like in a nuclear attack, that is really going to help you. And then get into the innermost part of your house and try to decide how long to stay there. It could be up to 2 weeks. Turn off the electricity. And also start filling everything with water, because if the power goes out, the water's going next. Fill your bathtub, fill big trash cans, anything that holds a lot of water. Also, you're going to need heavy duty trash bags. Even above ground pools, you can fill those with water. Okay, so today, one of the most important things is to stockpile food. So today I bought these 2 cans of corned beef for $1.99. So the regular price is only $2.30. But what I'm doing is I'm buying full-size cans of food, in particular meat. Then I bought this pancake and waffle mix because I'm going through and I found a couple bags, but this doesn't expire until 2025 because I made really delicious fry bread out of this stuff. I used it in place of the flour, and I used my whey when I was making my my fry breads. All it is 1 cup of liquid like water, 1 cup of flour. But with the one I had, it took a lot more flour, so I would start out with the flour and then add the liquid little by little if you're using whey. Okay, so these muffins were really good, and I have it in mind to try and use this pancake mix in the place of good wheat flour, because this was 2.5 pounds for $10. So this is organic wheat flour. So now today I wanted to show you, this is a very cheesy setup. This is some homemade cheese I made. This time it turned out really good for some odd reason. And I wanted to have this with my veggies. There it is. So I made this out of my powdered milk, and I thought this was expiring, and it's not until 2025. So I brought the milk to 3 cups of milk to a boil. Now this is homemade, easy to make. I had the powdered milk boiling like crazy. Then I put 3 tablespoons of vinegar, and it just like coagulated into practically cheese right there. Then I sprinkled some sea salt on it, and I shaped it into a ball, and then I just put the whole thing, since it was so solid, right into the whey and boiled it for, I don't know, a little less than a minute. Then I took it out and I put it in here. I made some holes, but really I could press out most of the moisture. I'm trying to get one of those tofu makers. And then I put it in this bowl and to hold it off. And then I just put, a weight on it. And so that is a pretty good little piece of cheese. Now, speaking of cheese, I got this cheese. How much was this cheese? $3.99 for 2 pounds. So once a month, I try to buy a big bag of cheese. That's not something you want to run out of. Look how much of my homemade yogurt I ate. All right. Let me give you the fried bread recipe. So 1 cup flour, 1 cup liquid. It could be milk. It could be whey. It could be water. 1 1/2 cups baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and you mix that all together and you make a nice soft dough, and then you put a little oil. Now this stuff has baking powder in it. It's like self-rising flour kind of, and then you just fry it in oil. So with this I have big plans of making some donuts and some bread. Let me give you the butter. So on the Oslo diet for the children, it was wheat bread and butter and it was some vegetables, it was some cheese, maybe some fruit. Okay. So here's the Oslo diet. So it depends on dairy. So another thing is big bags of powdered milk of some sort. Look, I made my oatmeal in advance. It's a 1/4 cup oatmeal, a 1/4 cup milk, a 1/4 cup half nuts and half raisins, and you just add 1 1/2 cups water, and you microwave it. Okay, no, so the pancake mix was expensive, but if something happens, we want to make sure we have wheat. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and God bless you all. Bye.